Dear finance professionals and students, welcome to podcast of FCA Deepak Rao, a practicing chartered accountant. Weekly digest for week 1 of February 2025. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has extended the voluntary use of Aadhaar authentication to private sectors like e-commerce, travel, tourism, hospitality, and health. This amendment under the Aadhaar Act aims to enhance service delivery and ensure compliance with privacy standards, allowing both government and private entities to use Aadhaar for authentication purposes. Today, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will be set to present the first full budget of Modi 3.0, balancing tax cut hopes and growth needs. With GDP growth projected at 6.3 to 6.8% in financial year 26, the economic survey stresses reforms in land, labor, and deregulation to achieve Viksit Bharat by 2047. SEBI has issued a circular addressing provisions related to the association of persons regulated by the board, market infrastructure institutions, and their agents with individuals engaged in prohibited activities. The circular explains which regulations govern such associations, defines who qualifies as a person regulated by the board, and identifies who constitutes an agent of these persons. The CBIC has received representations seeking clarification regarding levy of late fee payable for delay in furnishing of reconciliation statement in Form GSTR 9C. The CBIC has issued circular to clarify that late fee is not separately leviable for delayed furnishing of Form GSTR 9 and delayed furnishing of Form GSTR 9C. The late fee is payable for the delay in furnishing of complete annual return under Section 44 of the CGST Act, that is both Form GSTR 9 and Form GSTR 9C. Also, it is clarified that no additional late fee shall be payable for delayed furnishing of Form GSTR 9C, which is in excess of the late fee payable under Section 47 up to the date of furnishing Form GSTR 9 for the said financial year. In a major relief for borrowers and financial institutions, the Ministry of Finance has clarified that penal charges imposed by banks and non-banking financial companies for non-compliance with loan terms will not attract 18% goods and services tax. The announcement follows discussions at the 55th GST Council meeting, where stakeholders sought clarity on the tax treatment of penal charges in light of the Reserve Bank of India's directive issued on August 18, 2023. Venture debt firm Trifacta Capital has announced the first close of its fourth fund after raising nearly half of the total targeted corpus of Rs 2,000 crore, which includes a green shoe option of Rs 500 crore. Venture debt is a type of loan offered to Series A and above startups with institutional backing and includes equity warrants in addition to the debt component with a repayment period of 2 to 3 years. These equity kickers are typically about 10% of the debt quantum and usually translate to less than 1% ownership in the firm on a fully diluted basis. Trifacta has invested in startups such as Zepto, Meesho, Big Basket, Bluestone, Country Delight, Rebel Foods and more. The first close serves as a significant milestone for venture capital and venture debt firms, allowing them to start deploying capital from the fund. The fund plans to invest its new capital pool in over 100 companies during its term. After delivering significant relief to the middle class on personal income tax and customs tariff rationalization, the centre is likely to make a renewed push for revamping the goods and services tax structure to make it simpler to implement and comply with. The centre is likely to take up the issue of simplification and rationalization with the group of ministers mandated to examine the rates. Currently, the 5% slab has about 21% of all the items under GST. The 12% tax is levied on 19% of items, the 18% slab on 44% of the items, and the highest 28% on 3% of the items. The Reserve Bank of India is expected to cut interest rates for the first time in nearly 5 years due to easing inflation concerns. A majority of financial institutions believe the new Monetary Policy Committee under Governor Sanjay Malhotra will vote to reduce the repo rate by 25 basis points to 6.25%. Streamlining international taxation and expansion of safe harbor rules for global capability centers in India will stimulate growth of the sector that is projected to cross $100 billion in revenues by 2030. Transfer pricing process is set to get thrust following the budget announcement of adopting a block period approach of 3 years for arm's length tax pricing. This will provide greater regulatory certainty and reduce litigation, one of the longest pending and most sticky issues for multinationals concerning their technology captive centers in India. The budget measure essentially will allow GCCs to arrive at a transfer pricing rate in the first year through an internal assessment, which will continue for the next 2 years, giving relief to potential disputes between MNCs and the government in finalizing a rate. India Inc. is weighing the impact of American President Donald Trump's first volley of tariffs unleashed on Saturday. The president has signed orders to impose steep tariffs on imports from Mexico, Canada, and China. This amounts to a 25% additional tariff on imports from Canada and Mexico and a 10% additional tariff on shipments from China. Energy resources from Canada will have a lower tariff of 10%. Retaliatory measures followed almost immediately, with Canada announcing a 25% tariff and Mexico also threatening tariff and non-tariff measures. China is planning to challenge it at the World Trade Organization. In a bid to provide a boost to Gujarat's gift city, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced several measures to further incentivize investment in Prime Minister Narendra Modi's pet project. The incentives doled out in the Union Budget include a slew of incentives aimed at promoting investment, employment, and offshore funding at GIFT's International Financial Services Centre or IFSC. To increase offshore funds relocation to IFSC, the government has proposed to extend the existing relocation regime to exchange-traded funds which track popular market indices such as the Sensex and Nifty, and retail schemes which are willing to relocate from offshore locations such as Mauritius and Singapore to Gift City. Budget 2025 has put an obligation on reporting entities like banks, crypto exchanges, etc. to furnish information on transactions of crypto assets on a regular basis for both past and future periods. Moreover, the definition of virtual digital asset or VDA was also amended to include any article using crypto-like technology. These amendments will take effect from first day of April 2026, said Memorandum to Budget 2025. US President Donald Trump suspended his threat of steep tariffs on Mexico and Canada on Monday agreeing to a 30-day pause in return for concessions on border and crime enforcement with the two neighboring countries. US tariffs on China are still due to take effect within hours. Both Canadian Prime Minister and Mexican President said they had agreed to bolster border enforcement efforts in response to Trump's demand to crack down on immigration and drug smuggling. That would pause 25% tariffs due to take effect on Tuesday for 30 days. Gold loans by commercial banks surged by 68% in the first 9 months of financial year 25 due to rising gold prices. Non-bank lenders also saw a rise in gold loan sanctions. The increase in gold prices has allowed lenders to offer higher loan amounts due to higher collateral value, enhancing lender comfort despite regulatory scrutiny on gold loan portfolios. BlackRock Inc., the world's largest asset manager, has leased over 1.65 lakh square feet of office space in Goregaon, Mumbai for its Global Capability Center. The lease, spanning over 10 years, is part of BlackRock's expansion strategy in India, and it involves renting 3 floors in the Commerce 3 commercial complex for around Rs 400 crore. The National Financial Reporting Authority has imposed a penalty on the engagement partner for significant lapses in the statutory audit of Religare Finvest Limited for financial year 2017-18. The engagement partner failed to report fraud related to RFL's corporate loan book, did not properly assess fraud risks, and neglected to verify key investments and financial statement items. Additionally, the audit opinion issued was inappropriate, overlooking material misstatements, and the consolidation procedures were deficient. As a result, the engagement partner was fined Rs 5 lakh and debarred from acting as an auditor or internal auditor for 5 years. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of India has released the draft Bank Branch Auditors Panel for 2024-25 in line with the Reserve Bank of India's norms. Applicants can access their details such as MEF number, firm registration number, and category by entering relevant information on the MEF portal. The draft panel is open for review until February 5, 2025, and applicants can raise queries or complaints if needed. After resolving these queries, the final panel will be submitted to the RBI for approval. RPSG Group, owned by Sanjeev Goenka and the owner of IPL franchise Lucknow Super Giants, has won the bid to acquire a stake in the hundreds Manchester Originals, valuing the franchise at £107 million. While most bidders have acquired 49% stakes so far, sources indicate that the Kolkata-based conglomerate is set to acquire a majority 70% stake in the team. This marks a significant expansion for RPSG in English cricket. The England and Wales Cricket Board is selling 49% stake in each team, while counties can retain or sell all or part of their 51% ownership. SEBI has introduced a draft circular introducing a structured UPI handle for payments to SEBI-registered intermediaries, enhancing investor security. In the proposed mechanism, username will be an alphanumeric ID that will be generated for the user, while the handle used will be a unique identifier linked to the bank of the registered intermediaries. Public comments on this initiative are invited until 21st Feb 2025 through SEBI's website. ICAI has introduced the merger and demerger of CA firms guidelines 2024 to streamline the consolidation and separation of chartered accountant firms. The guidelines require firms to submit Form MDG-1 for mergers and Form MDG-2 for demergers, ensuring transparency and regulatory compliance. Merged firms retain the seniority of the oldest firm, while their names are frozen to prevent reuse. Firms can reclaim their original names within 1 to 10 years post-demerger. ICAI mandates proper documentation, formal registration, and has established a grievance redressal cell to address concerns. These guidelines aim to enhance operational efficiency while safeguarding professional identity and credibility. A majority of Indian chief executive officers plan to set up investments in capacity expansion, anticipating a surge in urban consumption following budgetary incentives, according to a dipstick survey conducted after the 2025-26 union budget announcements on Saturday. Of the 12 respondents, 91.67% said the personal income tax exemptions announced in the budget would drive up consumption, where a slowdown was a key concern for top business leaders. Additionally, 75% of the CEOs believed that measures in the budget would bolster business sentiment and confidence, prompting greater investment, even as they had anticipated a higher allocation. FMCG major PepsiCo on Tuesday reported double-digit organic growth in both its convenient foods and beverage categories in India, even as it witnessed a weak demand for its sodas and snacks in the United States, its largest market. PepsiCo, which is undergoing a restructuring, missed quarterly revenue estimates and reported a 1% fall in total organic volume. Under the restructuring, which was implemented on January 1st, PepsiCo will establish a new international beverages region to unify global franchise partners under one management structure with profit and loss accountability. This includes Varun Beverages Limited, which serves as PepsiCo's bottling partner here. Global rating agency S&P on Tuesday said India's budget remains in line with its expectations of gradual fiscal consolidation, underscoring its positive outlook for the country's sovereign credit rating. S&P said the financial year 26 budget will boost growth over the next few years via domestic demand through tax cuts for households. It also said economic expansion in India is normalizing towards a more sustainable level after real growth averaged 8.3% over fiscal 2022 to 2024 post-pandemic. The Securities and Exchange Board of India on Tuesday allowed retail investors to participate in algorithmic trading. In 2012, SEBI had introduced algo trading, which provided institutions advantages of timed and programmed order execution. Until now, only institutional investors were allowed to trade through algorithms. All algo orders would have to be tagged with a unique identifier provided by the stock exchange to establish audit trail, and the broker should seek approval from the exchange for any modification or change to the approved algos. India's new central bank governor is expected to deliver an interest rate cut in the first policy meeting, shifting the focus to boosting economic growth as global risks escalate. Governor Sanjay Malhotra, who took charge in mid-December, is likely to depart from the hawkish approach of his predecessor, Shaktikanta Das, who kept interest rates unchanged for 2 years as he doggedly chased a 4% inflation target. Most of the economists surveyed predict the Reserve Bank of India will now lower the benchmark repurchase rate by at least 25 basis points to 6.25% on Friday. Some analysts say there's even a chance Malhotra could surprise with a bigger move of 50 basis points. Business leaders Mukesh Ambani and Sanjeev Puri revealed major investment plans for West Bengal at the Bengal Global Business Summit. Reliance aims to double its investment with a new AI data center in Kolkata, while ITC plans to establish a global center of excellence in AI. Tata Electronics plans to expand in North America by hiring over 24 professionals, including sales directors and engineers across California. The company aims to onboard new clients for its upcoming OSAT facility in Assam and drive business growth. In order to position India as the global hub for electronic system design and manufacturing, a comprehensive program for the development of semiconductor and display manufacturing ecosystem in India was approved by Government of India. Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has notified schemes for setting up such facilities in India. In this context, it has been represented that non-residents will be providing support in setting up such electronic manufacturing facilities by deploying the technology and providing support services. In order to ensure certainty and promotion of this industry, it is proposed to provide a presumptive taxation regime for non-residents engaged in the business of providing services or technology to a resident company which are establishing or operating electronic manufacturing facility or a connected facility for manufacturing or producing electronic goods, articles or things in India under a scheme notified by the central government in the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology and satisfies such conditions as prescribed in the rules. It is therefore proposed to insert a new section 44BBD which deems 25% of the aggregate amount received or receivable by or paid or payable to the non-resident on account of providing services or technology as profits and gains of such non-resident from this business. This will result in an effective tax payable of less than 10% on gross receipts by a non-resident company. This amendment will take effect from 1st April 2026 and shall accordingly apply in relation to the assessment year 2026-27 and subsequent assessment years. Indian Global Capability Centers or GCCs are expected to create 4.25 to 4.5 lakh new jobs this year, as the country continues to establish itself as one of the most sought-after destinations for technology talent globally, according to a report of a technology and digital talent solutions provider. More than a third of the GCCs, which span banking, retail, oil and gas and aviation, will be looking to expand their workforce by 35 to 50%, the report added, as supportive government policies provide stimulus to growth. Hit hard by the rupee's depreciation against the US dollar, Indian firms are adopting various measures, including securing forex and cross-currency covers and reducing input costs to shield themselves from adverse impacts. The rupee hit another closing low of 87.58 against the US dollar on Thursday amid weak domestic markets and imported demand for dollars. The Indian unit has lost 193 paise so far this year. Firms have slowed down foreign exchange borrowings to $125 million in January this year, a 79% drop compared to January last year, when they raised $599 million. Japanese investments in India are moving beyond the well-established patterns and are now exploring new avenues in financial services, electronics and telecommunications. There is a shift towards new technologies, infrastructure and defense. Growth prospects are strong with support from national policies and incentives. These trends highlight India's potential as an investment hub amid shifting global dynamics and favorable economic conditions. According to a Deloitte report, India came in first and Vietnam second in a fiscal year 2023 ranking of promising countries and regions for investment firms in Japan. The Comptroller and Audit General or CAG of India is adopting artificial intelligence and machine learning to modernize auditing processes, enhancing efficiency and effectiveness in financial oversight. This initiative aligns with India's vision of becoming a $30 trillion economy by 2047 and supports the broader governmental push for AI integration in governance. The Ministry of Corporate Affairs has also encouraged cost auditors to use AI for improved risk assessment, financial analysis, and identifying inefficiencies. Private sector banks are facing high turnover rates, especially in loan and credit card sales roles, with attrition more than doubling by December. Team Lease Services recorded a 103% attrition rate among frontline employees. Key challenges include junior staff seeking quick salary raises. RBI's Deputy Governor has urged banks to improve employee engagement and retention strategies. Consumer goods sales picked up in the December quarter and vehicle registrations rose in January from a year-ago high base, pointing to positive news on the broader economic front ahead of the RBI's monetary policy announcement today, with India's rural areas performing better than its cities. The Finance Ministry has issued a directive prohibiting officers and staff from using AI tools such as ChatGPT and DeepSeek on office computers, citing risks to the confidentiality of government data and documents. This move aligns with global concerns over AI-driven data security risks. Countries like the US, Australia, Italy, and Taiwan have already banned China's DeepSeek on government devices due to security threats. The Cabinet has approved a new income tax bill to simplify the tax structure, which will likely be introduced in Parliament next week. Additionally, it sanctioned an Rs 8,800 crore Skill India program and the reorganization of railway zones and divisions in Andhra Pradesh and Odisha to streamline operations and improve regional connectivity. The Reserve Bank of India's Monetary Policy Committee, led by newly appointed Governor Sanjay Malhotra, has cut the repo rate by 25 basis points to 6.25%. The bond market reaction has been mixed, with yields initially rising due to the central bank's decision to maintain a neutral policy stance and in the absence of new liquidity measures. This 25-point rate cut has marked the first rate cut in 5 years. Despite the rate cut, bond yields rose slightly after the announcement, as the RBI retained a neutral stance instead of adopting an accommodative policy. Earlier, Auditing and Assurance Standards Board or AASB and Digital Accounting and Assurance Board or DAAB of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India have jointly brought out a technical guide on digital assurance to provide guidance to its members to adopt enhanced use of technology in audit by implementing the use of digitally available audit evidence and information. Now, SEBI has proposed to mandate a separate report on digital assurance of financial statement. The report will increase transparency, improve disclosure standards, and enable better enforcement, and thereby providing greater investor protection and trust in the ecosystem. Reporting on digital assurance shall be applicable on top 100 listed entities by market capitalization from financial year 2024-25 onwards, that is for the period ending on or after March 31st, 2025. Fintech firm PhonePe on Friday said that it has decided to wind down its account aggregator or AA business and surrender its NBFC AA license to the Reserve Bank of India. The company had launched its AA services in 2023 through its wholly owned subsidiary. The Walmart Group company will now partner with other AAs in the market. The AA license allows companies to obtain financial information of users with their consent and share it with banking and financial institutions for offering financial services such as loans, credit cards, etc. ITC, one of India's largest consumer goods companies, on February 6th announced that it has signed definitive agreements to acquire 100% stake in Prasuma over a 3-year period, the company announced through an exchange filing. The first tranche of 43.8% will be acquired upfront. The remaining stake will be taken in phases until June 2028. The valuation of the deal will be based on predefined criteria. Prasuma is a well-known name in Oriental cuisine and premium raw meats. Its portfolio includes over 170 products, featuring frozen items like momos, bowers, Korean fried chicken and Japanese fried rice. India's pharma sector has seen remarkable growth in exports, with 99% target already being achieved before financial year 25, government data suggests. India's drug formulations business and surgicals business have been a booster dose to domestic pharmaceutical companies, witnessing a robust growth. Drug formulations and biologicals lead the exports, supported by significant growth in the US and Europe despite challenges. A notable potential in Russia and recovering Africa market further bolster optimism.
This podcast is sponsored by Sound of CA. We share because we care. Vande Mataram, Jai Hind.